Hello, hello, and welcome to the Oddball Show. I am your host tonight, Jason Wright of Oddball Magazine. And today we're going to wax political with George Panagopoulos. Basically, there's been a lot of events in the news, and we figured we would bring on past Oddball Magazine artist and friend to the Oddball Show, George Panagopoulos. So before we introduce George, hey George, what's up, bro? All right.
Not much. Excited?
I'm so excited you're here. Seriously, all right. All right, George. But first, before we get to George, let's introduce the panel of Oddballians who will be waxing political with George and myself, truly. First off, we have my friend and associate editor who's not on the program yet because he's eating a milkshake, but when he's here, his name is Chad Parento, the man who said Naz. I will give him props when he comes on, but now we have George. Why don't you say a little bit about where you come from, what your background is, just so the viewers can know what you're talking about.
Well, I was lucky enough to have parents who ignored me, so I was, had to develop a personality and talent. So I'm glad to be here to share both of those if I can.
Yes, yes. So I've known George for a long time. George has been always a funny guy. He's always been a top-notch artist. So we're gonna delve into a little bit about Oddball Magazine and the stuff that George Panagopoulos has done for Oddball Magazine. But first,
well, Jason, I was gonna ask, can we get into that now?
No, I was just gonna introduce you first.
I'm Ivan, aka Scholar from JP Line Productions. Regular contributor to Oddball Magazine as well as our own publication, jplineproductions.com, which you can find online at that URL. We have a monthly webisode called The Rap Flashback, which focuses on old school hip-hop history. Our articles, which we post weekly, consist of everything, runs the gamut from hip-hop to entertainment to sports, to poetry, to other types of musical genres, politics, et cetera, as the Romans would say, because their C's were hard, so they knew nothing about etc. So that's JP Line Productions. I was curious, George, what have you contributed to Oddball in the past? Because I'm admittedly jumping on a little late here. I apologize for my tardiness, Oddballians. Brief me a little bit, George. What's up? What? Do you have a regular column, or how does that work?
Did you just say curious, George? No, I've worked actually. I've worked with Jason and Chad for a little while, just kind of drawing, political cartoons or drawings to go along with some of the poems that they had in the magazine. So usually just kind of, hey, as you need me, I'll jump in there. It's been probably 2 years now or so.
For when something that happened in the pop culture scene, what would happen? Like, for instance, we did a couple of political things. Do you remember when that woman? Oh my phone's ringing. Great. You remember when that woman went down? She was being married, and she was walking down in a wedding gown, and she had her baby.
Oh yeah.
Remember you drew that one? Yep.
The bride who had the baby in her train on her wedding gown.
Yep, drew that one.
Going nuts about that, and it's a political stuff, Obamacare and everything, and.
Yep. The ones that really make me think were the one that you did for Maya Angelou was pure perfection. It was beautiful. Why don't you explain that one a little bit?
It was basically Maya Angelou as sort of her older self standing next to her younger self and holding a bird cage with the door open, kind of like, all right, this is full circle and herself at peace.
Yeah, that was
That's pretty fantastic.
Now, George also did one for Veterans Day or Memorial Day. George did. So when we get poems for upcoming events, George did one for Memorial Day. George did one for Spock, right?
Oh yeah, yep. Forgot about that one.
You did one for Casey Kasem.
Yep. Yeah, with all the characters. That was one of the things. I mean, I knew Casey Kasem, from Scooby-Doo, from the Weekly Top 40, and a few other things, but I didn't realize how many characters he really did. And it wasn't until I looked into it, I was like, yeah, he was one of the, what do you call them? One of the Autobots. He was, the Transformers.
Which one?
I forgot. It was a white one. White.
So easy.
Someone look that up and get back to us on that.
Yeah, I don't remember which one it was offhand, but he had there was probably 10 characters that when you saw him, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And he also did something with Batman, right?
Yeah, he was Robin.
Yeah, he was Robin
in one of the iterations.
Yeah.
Nice.
And one of my most favorite ones was the tribute to Robin Williams. Do you want to talk on that one a little bit?
Oh yeah, he was. I mean, he was probably one of the most influential comedians in my life. Honestly, and he connected with a lot of people. I don't mean to say it was just mine. I discovered him or anything like that. Everybody loved Robin Williams.
Yeah.
But I felt like I had a huge connection with him, and that was a huge loss for me personally. As far as I didn't know him, but when you really look up to somebody, it was just really sad. And so what I did was I drew a picture of him, and then surrounding him were some of his more sort of meaningful quotes, and that was one I was really proud of.
Hey, Professor. Are you with us? Yeah. Didn't you write about Robin Williams when he passed as well?
I did, yeah, man. We did a little tribute piece to him as well. It's kind of hard when somebody like that passes, and I remember him from an early age,
Oh, yeah.
There
aren't many comedians that I remember like that have staying power and have he had a unique influence and a deep influence. There were celebrities and people that really were taken by his loss.
Yeah.
And I always think that's pretty awesome awesome in a tragic way, but when a comedian dies, somebody that, a modern day clown or somebody that makes light, that's their performance, but it affects people so deeply that their loss is really tough. And it always happens when a big comedian dies, it really gets to people. People love him, it really makes an impact. So, he was somebody that I just couldn't
I feel the same way about Bill Cosby. He's not dead, but he may as well be at this point.
It
just ruins it. It ruins it for
the same way. It's so tragic to watch Robin Williams die, even if it was suicide.
Hey, can we talk about that real quick?
What's that?
I know we have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, but I really just did you notice the sort of shift in Robin Williams' career towards the end of his life? He took on some really complex that's not the word I meant, not psych. He took on really complex characters. He took on the guy in Insomnia.
Yeah.
He took on the guy in 1 Hour Photo.
Yeah.
He was in what the hell was that one? One with Edward Norton. What was that movie? Death to Smoochie.
I love that movie.
And then towards the end of his career, he was in he was in a show on Netflix that was called The Crazies or something, where I think they just let him talk too much. And then he had another one called RV. But one that really brought me attention to what was going on with Robin Williams was Father of the Year. Did you ever see that movie? Did anyone ever see it?
I know it is, but I've never seen it.
Oh my God, it's a classic. I think it was directed by Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yep.
And
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Bobcat Goldthwait. That's his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
He it's a weird name to say, but yeah, he's done a couple of movies. He has a really interesting sense of humor, and I definitely recommend seeing Father of the Year or World's Greatest Dad or whatever it's called. I think it's called World's Greatest Dad, and it's a sad kind of almost like an allusion to what would happen to Robin Williams towards the end of his life.
And oddly enough, if you ever wanted to see his penis, you can also see that in that movie. I never really wanted to, but
yeah.
I have.
So did you like that movie, George? Did you see that movie?
I did. It was sort of like, not crazy as Death to Smoochie, but it was sort of that dark humor, really dark humor. And I will say, I think, sort of to your point, there's a few comedians like him and John Candy who really were not only funny, but they were also very good with the emotional roles.
Yeah.
And I think that was the difference. It almost felt like you knew them. You know?
Yeah.
I have to say, I mean, going through his emotional roles, you have, well, what was he? He was in Good Will Hunting, which remains one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. He remains in What Dreams May Come, Dead Poets Society.
Dead Poets Society.
Oh my God! All these movies were very influential for me. And then what was that one? I never saw that movie that he was in where he pretended he was like a. The hell he was. It was like he had a multiple personality. It wasn't Awakening. What the hell was it called? George, help me out. It was a movie where he was like a Viking.
A Viking?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a very old movie, 80s. 90s.
That one I don't know.
Was it Awakenings? Was that the movie?
Oh no, Awakenings. He played a doctor who was helping out patients who were catatonic.
No, that was the other one. That was was that one? Yeah. Yeah,
that was Awakenings.
Oh man.
Also a great movie.
Oh yeah.
Not exactly funny movie.
He was Georgia. I mean, I gotta say that what's your favorite movie? We're gonna move on in a minute, but why don't you guys go around? Tell me, Robin Williams' favorite movie. It's almost the anniversary of his death, right?
I don't know. It could be. I can't really remember.
Well, I mean, it's been a while since we talked about him, so let's go real quick. George, what's your favorite movie by Robin Williams?
That's one of the things. I couldn't really say what my favorite was. Death to Smoochie, love it, just because it's so insane. Patch Adams.
Oh, yeah.
Even, as sort of lame as it is, Jumanji. I've seen that movie probably friggin' 20 times. I love that movie.
I do too.
Doesn't really hold up though. If you watch, the CGI and everything, but
I think that was almost before. That was like great. I don't know. Jumanji, great movie. I agree. Can I get some applause for that? No. Okay.
What about you guys?
I'm sure there's a cricket out there waiting for you. I love Dead Poet Society is one of my absolute favorites, and he's so like almost underspoken. Like it's him in the role. He's really quiet. That says so much. Like it's still kind of broad. Obviously, Good Will Hunting. He's awesome. The one we haven't talked about yet is probably one of his most famous. The Genie in Aladdin.
Oh yeah, he was Aladdin. He was the genie in Aladdin.
And he's amazing. Like he takes it to a whole different place. They wrote this crazy comical character, but then he, in the studio himself, just being who he is, took it to a whole different place. And I think that's kind of one of my favorite things about him, like watching him in an interview on late night television or something like that. Like there's nobody like him. There's no off switch, and it didn't stop after he stopped, taking cocaine or after being a heavy drinker. That was who he is. There's nobody like him like that. That's something we'll never get back.
Let's say he's one of the best comedic dramatic actors of all time.
Certainly of his generation, But also, the other one we have to talk about too, that's one of my favorites where I first saw him, because my parents loved the show, was Mork and Mindy. And that's like a weird and complicated and like interesting show. It has emotion and like it's obviously where he started, but it's a cool kind of show. It's also unique, So yeah, I love Robin Williams.
Yeah, rest in peace, rest in power, Robin Williams.
What about Mr. Scalda? You got a favorite before we change topics here? You got a favorite?
What's your favorite, man?
All right, so I don't watch a lot of movies. I think I tried counting the number of movies I've watched in my entire life. I'm 35 years old. It was significantly less than 200.
Wow.
I couldn't tell you a Robin Williams movie, to be honest with you. I know of all the ones that you guys mentioned. I don't think I've seen any of them.
But you can quote Shaq Diesel, but you don't know any Robin Williams.
I'm sorry, what?
You can quote Shaq Diesel, but you don't know any Robin Williams. Right.
I like music and sitcoms and, you know, the occasional porn, I suppose. But yeah, but when it comes to full-length feature films, that's just not my thing, man. The only ones I check out for are comedies, so, you know, it's a little bit out of context for me to not know too well any Robin Williams movies, but, you know, I like Dumb and Dumber and The Money Pit and stuff like that. You know, I'm just not a big movie buff.
Between when The Money Pit came out in 1984 and Dumb and Dumber came out in 92, you were just listening to Shaq Diesel.
I think I was listening to Shaq Diesel in and around the time that Dumb and Dumber came out. Yeah, as well as a lot of other rap music.
I had the video game. I had the Shaq Diesel video game and the Wu-Tang video game. Anyway.
Yeah. So you say, sorry, I'm not the best Robin Williams conversation contributor here, but I'd love to talk about I don't know, Donald Trump or JP Lime. Sure, let's talk about that.
That was supposed
You got a ding dong.
Trying to segue the politics back for you, but no, you want to talk about our group. What's up? What do you want to know, man?
Well, we didn't actually. We were just going to talk quickly about what's happening with JP Lime. You wrote the Heroes article, Prof. What's that about, man?
Oh, well, yeah. So let's jump to the updates. This week at JP Lime. My latest television fascination has been Heroes. We just finished binge watching it, and it's coming back for a sequel in September. So, you know, sometimes on a week-to-week basis, when you're writing a blog, you're just going to go, hey, what am I thinking about? What's interesting to me? It's probably going to be interesting to somebody out there on the internet. So, yeah, so it was about Heroes this week. And I really liked the show. And the thing that I didn't watch it when it was on TV.
Yeah.
I saw a couple episodes. But the thing I didn't really realize is how badly it steadily dropped in ratings until by the end of the fourth season it got canceled before the story arc was done, before they were ready to be done with the show. It got canceled, and I didn't really realize that while I'm watching it. I loved it, and I can see the things that people that I've read since then, critics and such.
Yeah.
I really liked it when I was watching. So that was one of the things that I was feeling out in the article, and where they're going to go next with what's called Heroes Reborn, which will bring in some of the same characters and a whole bunch of new ones.
I heard the season 2 kind of fell short, and then it got abruptly canceled. Is that true?
Say that one more time.
Yeah, I guess Heroes was really strong for maybe the second season,
huge.
possibly. Then it just filtered out,
Yeah, that's exactly right. So after the fourth season, it got abruptly canceled by NBC, and it was big when it was out. On the first couple seasons, it was really it was dominating ratings, and they do a lot. It's it's a huge ensemble cast. There's 3 or 4 main characters, a whole bunch more. So it's hard to control all those different storylines, especially when you're doing a whole bunch of sci-fi stuff and you're trying to be a complicated, twist and turn kind of show. So inevitably, it's possible to get lost in that. And
all
that's
right.
kind of it. So,
I don't mean to cut you off, but I believe I see Chad, the man who says Naz, in the building. Chad, are you there?
I'm here.
Yes. Chad, how are you? How you doing?
Good. What show are you talking about? Where did I come in awkwardly?
Well, you missed the whole Robin Williams chat. We were talking about Robin Williams for a little while.
Well, we were just talking about Heroes. We were doing a little update on what's going on in Jacob Land, and I wrote an article on Heroes this week because I just finished watching it on Netflix, and then the new show is coming up in September. So
cool.
Yeah, and then we were going to talk about what Ivan had going on.
Ivan, so you wrote some NFL poetry today, huh?
A couple of days ago, yeah, no. So I have a recurring column at jplineproductions.com, which I periodically submit to, and probably will this week, unless Chris, you or Space want to go a different direction. Submit to Oddball magazine. I call it sports poetry, # sports poetry. Occasionally, I love hip hop. It's all rooted in poetry when it comes to hip hop music. My verses for my hip hop and rap songs started out as poetry way back when I was a tiny lad, and I used to throw them away, and eventually I started keeping them, and et cetera, et cetera. They evolved into complete songs and whatnot. But I like to dive back into the poetry well every so often, and many thanks again, Jason and Chad, for allowing me to perform at Stone Soup Poetry, a couple of times.
Definitely.
We'll definitely be back. Plug
You
to
gonna be there
Stone
this
Soup.
Monday?
I think so. I like Emilio's stuff. I haven't gone in a while. I'm starting grad school at the end of August, so I don't have too much free time left. I think I'm gonna sacrifice my Monday night Raw night and just record it and go see you guys on Monday. But I'm very much a game time decision type of guy, so we'll see. So back to sports poetry. I wrote a piece about basically how Roger Goodell has his head way so far up his ass that it's actually coming through his neck again. Like, that's how bad it is. Yeah, there it is. And how he needs to be fired, and how the whole Deflategate handling, as well as the handling of all the other controversies that have happened in the NFL in the past 2-3 years, have just been grossly mishandled, and how he needs to get the fuck up out of there. I wrote a poem about that. I'd be happy to read it later on if you guys are cool. That was my piece this week. What's up?
I'm checking out a Yahoo article, and Brady's right on the front saying NFL may have sold out Brady. So I guess that's what you're getting at with the.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Well, the name of the poem is "Forget Free Brady, Fire Goodell." Because, at the end of the day, New England, Greater Boston Central, it's just like everybody's like, hey, free Brady, free Brady, free Brady. And, of course, I share that sentiment as a Bostonian, as a huge Boston sports fan, New England sports fan. But I think it's bigger than that. I'm like, Goodell needs to fucking go. Goodell needs to fucking go. He is a moron of the highest moronic proportions. He needs to get the fuck up out of there. And the Brady situation, the Deflategate situation, is just the latest in the strings of, like I said, just gross mishandlings of issue after issue after issue. Like, we're sick of it. The NFL deserves better. Its fans deserve better. The players and the owners certainly deserve better. And God, Tom Brady deserves so much better. At the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there was something going on there. I'm sure there's something going on with many of the teams and their handling of equipment, balls, whatever. Half a PSI. We're talking about air in a fucking football. For him to get fined, $2 million, whatever 4 games pay is, a quarter of his season, for that, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, especially without, in the absence of concrete proof, which just makes it all the more, just silly to me. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to prolong that issue. I'll be happy to read the poem later on if you guys want.
Let's go back to that, because there's kind of some similarities in the news lately, and let's just kind of go with that, because you got destroyed cell phones, you got leaked emails, you have people giving away phone numbers, you have a deadline.
1,000 deflating Donald Trump jokes just came right by my mind, and just
there you go.
Waiting to be called out, but I shall remain silent and let everyone else talk.
All right, so Chad, I'm gonna go first. But did you hear about Cecil the Lion?
I believe I saw at least 5 tweets on that. Maybe no more than 5. Actually, it's been weird to see the backlash, especially some of the Facebook photos that have come up. I think one of the more popular ones has the text, a person shoots a lion and a nation mourns. A black teenager is shot by the cops and no one gives a fuck. That's basically the gist of the GIF. And there's actually one of my favorite tweets came out from Roxanne Gay, who's a feminist author. And she actually said, I think I'm going to walk around in a lion costume so people actually care about what happens to me.
Wow.
See, I think that's a bit. I saw that meme too, and I think that it's just you're clashing 2 issues together and trying to make a comparison that isn't, a lot of people did flip out because it's an animal, and I certainly share that sentiment. That guy deserves a crossbow in his own neck. But I don't know. It's not like nobody gives a fuck. We've been doing. There's been a lot of this is like a big issue. So I think it's a false kind of comparison a little bit. I don't think it's completely without value. I just think it's a little bit extreme to be like to lump them together quite so.
Yeah. I'm gonna shout out to a friend of mine from Flatline Poetry, Lewis Morris. He was just on Facebook and he said something about how it's okay to be outraged over more than one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay to be a little pissed off about a lion, but also be pissed off about some of the bigger issues. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good. I think a lot of people don't. They have like 80. No, I'm not gonna say that. They have like they concentrate on one thing to be pissed off about to blanket everything else. It's just.
I think that's like politicians are that way. It's like, oh, whatever the like. And I feel bad. The baby doe there, out on what was it, the island in Boston Harbor. They found that young girl who was murdered, and that is certainly a tragedy. But like the head of the Senate in Massachusetts, the Attorney General, they all went to this memorial service for this girl, and I certainly admire that. I think that's a good thing. But there's so many other huge issues. I was like, all right, I'm from Worcester, and gang violence has erupted in Worcester. We've had like 20 shootings in the past 2 weeks.
Really?
Nobody came to Worcester for that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like they go to the one issue that sort of tugs at the heartstrings to ignore everything else, and most people are trying to kind of play the field everywhere a little, get some progress in everything as opposed to focusing on one little issue.
No, I agree with you, George. I think I gotta say media plays a big part about what you're gonna get what you focus on. It seems like on social media you get a lot more issues.
Yeah.
You there's all sorts of things that you will not hear on the local news or the 7 o'clock news or the national news. They don't become topics. It's almost like the people dig into the news, and it's more like we're more of a news forum.
Jason.
Most news. But
Jason.
Go.
Can I chime in real quick?
Yeah, sure.
No, I think that social media point is excellent, and I feel as though, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is just my unique experience on social media. I'd be curious to get definitely George's take, but everybody on the panels. Have we gotten to a point where social media has become so vast and obviously so fast? It's happening. It seems like shit's on social media before it even happens. I know that's impossible, but that's what it seems like. Where social media is actually driving like popular attention to and interaction with social media, and the topics that blow up on social media is actually driving real media now. So a story that may have been buried under commercial media, even 5-6 years ago, gets so big on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Caterer, I'll say again, that it has to go on the national news. It has to go on Fox, CBS, ABC. Have we gotten to that point, or is that just my own unique experience?
I agree with you, Ivan. I watch Rachel Maddow a lot. I like how she develops her stories and stuff, and I really like the way she delivers the news. And I noticed back in around the time of the Cleveland riots that we eventually, or the Cleveland protests, I'll say, well, we eventually we made news. Like Boston made news by marching and blocking off the highway, and New York made news, and you had to notice it. It was a topic that we all were entranced by, and all of a sudden it became the news. So yeah, I think when enough people get involved with the news on a social media level and they become unified, like Black Lives Matter movement, it becomes national news and people start to pay attention.
What do you think about that, George?
Well, I have one sort of horrible example of that, and that would be that stupid blue dress, yellow dress post. Yeah, I was.
Oh, that was weird. Yeah.
I was up at like 2 in the morning when that first started to come out, and I'm just playing on Twitter, and all of a sudden you'd see it's blue, it's yellow. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then all of a sudden you'd see stars and actors saying it's blue, it's yellow. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? And by the next morning, within like 6 hours, it was everywhere, and it was like, are you, like, A, why are we talking about this? But it was so crazy to watch it just literally like infect everything. And so to your point, I think it's true because sort of from two ends. One, with like things like Twitter and Facebook, you end up finding out about something almost immediately when it happens, and then the news will cover it the next day, maybe in more depth, but you're getting sort of real-time stuff from Twitter and everything before the news has a chance to catch up. So I think you're absolutely right.
Oh, thanks.
But what about so the dress example? I agree. It's ridiculous. It was cute for what it was. But what about something like Eric Garner?
Yeah.
Or or Mike Brown, or some of these awful police brutality situations, or even the freaking Lion.
Yeah.
Like would these things have made national news? I highly doubt that it's only been the last 18 to 24 months that cops have been getting away with shit they shouldn't get away with.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? I highly doubt that. I think social media, everything from being able to videotape stuff on your phone to, almost immediately posting it and it going viral, I think that has a lot to do with a lot of the, I'm just going to say it, a lot of the racial tension that this country is experiencing right now. And it's to me, it's a necessary evil. Like as much as I'm active in social media, sometimes I hate it. But at the same time, it's just like, hey, a lot of this stuff is coming to light, I think, mainly due to social media. And, it's, like you said, the dress situation is kind of silly. But what about some of these bigger, societal changing stories or, societal impact thing stories, if not completely changing? That are they're birthed in social media, and then all of a sudden, you've got Bill O'Reilly sounding off, you've got all these people, you've got Obama commenting, like, what's going on there?
Here, let me jump in real quick because there's another level to it too. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, Chad had his hand up. Let me go Chad first. My bad.
Well, you can go first, Chris. I don't think I'll lose my point to you on this because I have a weird take on this. But you go first.
Well, so the other level to it is we would be getting some of this information, 5 minutes, an hour, a day behind. In some places where news media isn't so active, when you have, you're talking about Israeli-Pakistani conflict, Twitter makes a big difference. That's it's a front line in news media now, but it's a front line in that kind of place where it's really putting out information, whether it be false or true, the tweets that people in those places are sending out in the moment after these things happen are impactful in news and that kind of place. So in not just the U.S., but in conflicts in other places, Twitter and other real-time news media. Facebook is a little different because it doesn't happen in real time necessarily. It breaks across Facebook, but Twitter is every minute.
Have you wondered?
It's becoming the front line for real reporters and and that's where the dangerous mix comes in. Is that it's a mix of citizens and reporters, so you never know. There's no fact checking. It's not like you can rely on a reporter to tell you the truth because their job integrity says they're going to go check the facts out, and make sure they're telling you something true. That kind of went out the window 10 years ago or so with 24-hour media news, but you still kind of that's implied. But on Twitter, there's none of that. You're not fact checking. It's reactionary. So in some ways, that's awesome. You're getting the front. Like yesterday, when the video broke for Sam DuBose, it was all over Twitter first. That was the first place it was before news media even had a chance to get to it. That's where it was first, and all these things do break that way. To Ivan's point, it's the best mobilization thing that we have ever, for good and bad. like you were saying, maybe necessarily evil in some ways, but it's also the best mobilization we have. That's where I think it makes the biggest difference in the conflict we've seen the past year. You know, you're spreading this idea. Part of it is marketing, so part of it isn't news. That's where the mix, the dangerous mix comes in. Is part of it is marketing and promo, and some of it is trying to push actual news, and then there's a mix between the two. But it's certainly one of the most powerful tools we've seen in the computer age, the social media for that kind of thing.
Well, is someone
Chad,
someone put on music?
No, you're
Someone's
good.
put on music.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, wait a second. I actually ended up. I was trying to get to our video to check the sound, but then I got to look at something about the Hubble telescope. So sorry if you heard background noise. Here's my thought. We're in a position right now where the news, and it would be an ideal situation because we're in a position right now where we kind of dictate the news. Like the social media is what dictates the news largely, and the media can't control it. So what they've done, and what took 20 years to do, was take analytical abilities like analysis out of the news. And I mean real analysis, not just pundit speak. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that is ridiculous. I mean, I watch Fox News during my lunch break because where I work, that's the only news that they actually allow on.
Seriously?
So it would seem, but
Isn't that kind of like torture?
Do you work for the GOP? Like, what the hell?
I don't disclose my workplace online, but
especially after saying disparaging things.
So possibly?
There's nothing disparaging about work, but it's disparaging about what the message is. There was this whole thing about like the IRS and did Obama know and stuff like that. And there was this one conversation piece between this person who allegedly says like, oh, there are emails, and now it goes, the whole bottom of it is Obama. And she actually had this crazy quote that whether or not you believe the whole IRS scandal or not, this person actually said to the journalist, and the journalist reacted as if it was something serious or something believable. She said, oh, this scandal is like the most horrific thing I've ever seen. This is like the most horrific scandal I've ever heard of in American history.
Oh, yeah.
And think about that. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Talking about that with Benghazi, and it's like, oh, man, this is going to bring down the president. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not a tragedy or anything, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't see this as going as far as Watergate. Or it's like,
I mean, anyone with a brain should be able to, or should be able to look into that statement and be like, oh, wait a minute. Even if I don't believe that Bush led an illegal war, I think there was one or two other things that might have actually had more weight. What the hell? But I think that a lot of the people have lost the ability to do that. It's very strange because like we're in a position right now where a lot of people are trying to grasp hold of what the media covers, and I think Ivan has the point in that we were able to control. Like the reason why there's a cop indicted for murder right now is because of all the attention on social media that has forced people to do this take, and a lot of people are angry about that. Because they're outraged that we have that much power. But in a sense, it's very hard to focus that power because we have generations who have a hard enough time knowing what to focus on. It could be the dress for like 6 hours, and then someone goes on to, Michael Brown, and then like a month from now, it's the free. There's that whole.
It's the ALS challenge. Yeah.
What I was gonna mention is what I think is kind of like indicative of like our progress and lack of progress. Do you remember that catcalling video?
Yes.
Now I don't have a.
Yeah,
I'm not against the message. I'm not against the message, but it's amazing how, in light of so many other things that were going on at the time, that the attention span was drawn away from even things like Ferguson. Yeah. And it was brought around to like, okay, catcalling is wrong. I can agree with that, but it was very weird how the conversation devolved. I don't know if you remember seeing this on Huffington Post or Gawker, and it was. I might be going into a completely different point here, but it was just the media just like focused on fighting. There was a lot of finger pointing in that video as to who was wrong. There was a post specifically saying that it wasn't that the Gawker video focused on sexism. There was also a focus on like racism, because it was like supposedly unfairly depicting black people as being, or Hispanic as being like the ones who catcalled the most, and it was just like this whole thing of like, okay, this is wrong. Why is it wrong? And it just turned into a lot of ridiculous finger pointing over something that probably in a more focused world, shall we say, should have been like, ignored and discarded a little bit more quickly, or a little more handily. And that's the one thing I don't like about social media, is that we've really henpecked like topics to death, and it's not really the correct topics. I mean, sometimes you get something beautiful, like the Ferguson controversies, where people really do unite. Sometimes they united over good things, sometimes they didn't, but it was like unifying forces. But I would argue that, especially like if you look through it through activism, and when I was younger, when I covered like things like the 2000 Republican National Convention, and when I covered other protests, there was a lot more focus of what was going on, that we had someone perceived as good in the White House. And with Clinton, you can have your diverse opinions upon that, but he wasn't at least wasn't perceived then as like the carrier of the torch of Reaganomics. So he was seen as a good guy. He was seen to be a good person. There seemed to be like a progressive agenda, and so people like the younger generation focused around, they had that time, they weren't as ensconced in media. The media was just a way to get people together, and people focused on different things. You may not agree with what they were focusing on. There were people like saying like there were people saying let Ralph debate. There were people saying free Mumia. There were people saying, there were anarchists like burning flags in the middle of the street, and there was like a more focus for like something progressive. I don't see that happening with the Twitter generation. I see a lot of like, and this is going to go into other topics too, and let it be if I'm totally rambling, if I'm not making any sense, but it seems like there's a lot of like nitpicking of just like pointing to see who is wrong. Like people can't, there's no context for analysis and for interpretation for people to have a conversation. I mean, you, Ivan, for what you're doing as far as like analytical essays, that's probably leaps and bounds over like probably 70% of the media out there in terms of like doing actual observation. It's not like maybe true journalism, but it's like commentary and analysis. And I think younger generations seem to have lost that, and it's probably the fault of the media for allowing it to denigrate this way. And imagine what we could do. I see people chuckling because I'm totally rambling, but I would love to see what we could do with a generation that was a little bit more savvy. I mean, we could probably so our social media could observe. It could be like the next media mogul, and not just the freaking Huffington Post.
I agree that what I do is not true journalism.
Jesus.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you. That's all I heard. No, I'm kidding. No, I appreciate what you said about commentary and analysis, because I think you're right. I mean, I think something Chris and I do try to do is, when we built JPL magazine, so to speak, when we birthed that from the larger JP Line Productions concept, I remember specifically having discussions about, all right, we don't want to be a news outlet. We don't want to give you the information and that's it, even if it, understanding that it happens so fast nowadays. If we gotta wait a little longer to like give you something worthwhile on, an event that happened last week, we're gonna do that. I think a lot of what happens with social media and just media and internet media in general is everybody's trying to be first or near first, as close to first as possible, in releasing a story. And I mean, I guess that's the nature of the beast with media in general, but I think it's like over amplified, a million times with social media in the age that we're living in. People just want to, be the first to say something, or say something quasi-analytical about, a given event. People don't stop to think anymore. It's like with album reviews, people want to drop an album review the day that the album drops. It's like you haven't listened to it yet. You haven't had any time to reflect on it, to sleep on it. Like, people don't do that anymore. So again, thanks, Chad. I appreciate that comment, because it's true. We try to give you our thoughts on something, not just, something, not just giving you that story. What I wanted to ask George and really the rest of the panel because Chad, I mean, you bring an interesting point as far as social media just kind of dumbing people down. I mean, that's probably an oversimplification of what you were getting at.
I think it's a loss of focus. Clearly, if my girlfriend's daughter knows how to access stories quicker than me on the iPhone, it's not an intelligence thing. I think it's a lack of a discipline that can be taught, but it's really hard to do.
Is that the gift and the curse with social media? Like, I mean, is all right? So it's great that we can rally.
It's a gift without knowing how to use it is how I would answer it, but go on.
That's interesting. That's interesting. No. I wanted everybody's thoughts on that. It's great that we can rally around an important topic because of social media, but there's a lot of stupid shit that we're getting lost in also because of social media. I mean, what do you think, George? Chad, Jason, Chris, you tell me.
I think it's kind of like a buffet. You can go in and you can dive into the chicken wings, or you can get some pasta. You know what it's like? And this is going to sound horrible. It's like porn nowadays. You can go get a little 30-second gift,
right,
or you can go watch a 5-minute clip, or you can go watch a 2-hour amazing production, and that's up to you. And it'll take 30 seconds to find whatever you're looking for.
Sure.
Some people just want that 30-second gift. Some people want the more in-depth, goat stuff. Maybe mules. I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, to get back to a PG-13 audience, I like what you said about food, George. And I think what you're saying is
Why
that
it gotta be PG-13 though?
I think.
Dude, it's 11 o'clock on a Thursday night. Ain't no kids up. Come on now. They got...
we mentioned goats. I get nervous, but I'm just saying it's more like a buffet at Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
In other words, things are left to rot. You might excess on something, and it might not be fulfilling. You might not even get anything out of it, but you're just going up there to grab what you can at all costs.
George wants me to point on his social media, and I got to say two things about George. This is why I had George as a candidate, to be on the show, and also to be in Oddball magazine, not because I know he's a great political humorist and he's a great artist, but he's always the first to report on things. Like, for real, George is the first person to know when anyone dies. Anyone. And that's great. But one time George said to me, one time George said on his Facebook, he said, Facebook is like looking in the fridge when you're full. You just kind of
is
in the fridge.
Great analogy.
Oh. Remember that? Maybe it wasn't George. Was it George? Was that you?
I think it was, because my brother does that all the time. But I think, sort of to the buffet point, the way I look at it is more that you walk into a buffet and there are some people who are always going to kind of go for the chicken fingers and fries. Some people are going to go for something that may be more wholesome meal, and that's what I mean. Is like there's just so many options nowadays that some people want that quick little snippet of news and they're going to take that and be satisfied with it. But some of us really want more in-depth analysis, and you can find that too. It's just you got to dig for it a little more. Maybe Frontline on PBS or something like that. Documentaries on Netflix.
But what if you don't know where that is? I mean, we're in a situation right now where, I mean, when I grew up, we had to find things. We had to look around. You had to be in the city in order to get information on documentaries and stuff like that. And people younger than us now have that at their fingertips. But I think it's the lack of knowledge to even search.
Yeah, I think it comes across on a lot of feeds. It depends on who you follow and what you're following. But I think to George's buffet point, sometimes I'll sign on to Facebook or Twitter and get lost because I suddenly watched a half-hour documentary, well done, about a certain point that, I was just browsing through my Facebook for a Snickers bar at the buffet.
Yeah.
And I got stuck on something valuable. So I think that's kind of the buffet point, is that you can go in and get whatever you want out of it. The danger, though, is the expectation that it's so fast and so instant gratification is that a tide you can't turn around. You know?
Well, that's also the Vegas buffet thing works because you could be rushing for chicken wings. And you're like, oh my God, there's almost no food here, even though you don't know that A, they're going to refill it in like another 10 minutes, and B, if you walk 5 feet down or go into this one corner, there's going to be like that seafood those crab cakes from Maryland that you've been dying for, and you'd miss out. And to just backtrack, I mean, I don't know if you brought up the documentary as like a real life example, but where did you find that documentary in the first place?
Well, I mean, Facebook, I get them all the time. I follow.
Do you get it from friends? Do friends follow you?
Yeah,
I mean,
like, so the one I was going to bring up is Elaine Davis, who we had on the cast not long ago. Being a friend with him on Facebook is awesome because it's awesome and terrible at the same time because he puts stuff on his feed every 3 minutes, and it's all he's sharing some awesome stuff. I like. I'd say 70% of what he does, I get a like on, and I try to reserve my likes for whatever reason. But he like a lot of videos, and sometimes, and here's the other danger of it, is sometimes, no matter how well done and how in-depth and intelligent, sometimes they're still super slanted. They're still a very biased point of view.
Sure.
And it's coming at you from all sides, so you can't really. It's not the same thing about fact checking. You don't know where it's coming from necessarily. So if you then hit share because you're like, oh wow, those are really awesome, I want people to read that, you find out, like my conservative friend did it not long ago, that it was written by White Power magazine and not by the Washington Post or whoever he thought it was. Oh, it was the Baltimore Sun. He thought an article was published in the Baltimore Sun. He shared it, and then one of my other friends politely corrected him that it was written by a White Power publication. So, that kind of thing can happen. But it doesn't mean, you're still presented with all these really well thought out, intelligent ideas. And it's awesome. I love social media for its terribleness and its awesome power. It's just.
I guess I love social media for the fact that you are so inundated with news and things. You are immersed in everything that you want. If you want to know about the Celtics, you want to know about the Oscars or whatever the hell the news, whatever. You can find that easily on Facebook, easily. Also, interesting people put interesting stuff up. You learn a lot about people's lives. That's great, but honestly, is this changing anything? It seems like the police state is getting a lot more violent, and it seems like we have a lot more news, and there's a lot of pissed off people. But I don't think anything's changing. I think we have a lot of news.
No, I think you're way off, man. I think things are changing. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, but I think things are changing.
You think so?
And you can't hold one accountable for the other, Like the thing that social media is presenting us with awesome power to join up and mobilize, and whether you then have to apply some standard of fact checking or truthfulness to what you're doing to make sure that you're not following the wrong people. It's an awesome connection. We've never had anything like it in human civilization. That you can connect instantaneously with someone across the globe and show your support through the smallest of actions, which is dangerous.
But does each voice matter to we can be
each voice matters. Hell yeah.
We can be immersed with all the news, and we can be united on all sorts of fronts. We can be
You're sounding nihilistic, my friend. You're sounding.
I'm just saying that there is maybe I don't know. All I'm saying is that we can be immersed in all sorts of news. Does it change things? That's my question that I'm raising to you. Has anything?
It all depends on the discipline of what?
Yeah, I'm saying okay. So we have all this news. What has changed? What has changed for the people since the advent of social media? Go. I'm drinking, guys. I'm just listening. That's fine. Go ahead, guys.
Okay, I thought you yelled something at me, but okay, my bad. Anyone can yell anything they want at me if I'm talking way too much, but... Okay, oh wait, that was me. Anyway, oh brother. Anyway, I think it. Did I trigger the first one of the night? Did I trigger the first Wawa of the night?
It wasn't the first one, but yeah, you triggered it.
It wasn't the last, I'll tell you that.
I think it all boils down to increase of information and just a war for of interest. It's not even a war of information because everything has equal access right now. There were, of course, like the Internet Acts that were being routed through Congress. I mean, hell, podcasting itself won a huge victory when patent trolls were trying to go after it, so that they were effectively going to ruin the podcasting world and industry. So for right now, the war on information has taken a ceasefire, and just our very existence is that we win. We won. I mean, congratulations, everyone. I didn't know we were fighting a war. I'm just sitting here in an unlit room rambling. So, you know.
I love you have to win something. Shit.
But I think the issue is, and I've been thinking a lot of this with the Gamergate controversy, is that we're in a war over like interests and what people want to find out about. And I hate the idea of even mentioning Gamergate right now because that's such a taboo subject. But I think it's a lot of people were talking about this, and someone lectured the whole movement. I don't know if you even have an opinion on it. If you don't even know about it, then more of a blessing for you. Gamergate's like the whole basically people outraged about ethics in journalism, and it started with an independent video game maker in Boston, and it turned into like a scandal, and it became more ridiculous, and people were basically just saying all we want to do is play video games, and the questions have raised up like all we want to do is talk about like small. There was basically like a group of fringe video game makers, and their very existence seems to piss people off. And maybe they've done this stuff to piss people off legitimately, but it's a very weird, apathetic group. Apathetic in the sense that all they care about is like being left alone to do their own interests, and they can't yell that enough. And someone actually made a comment saying it's like everyone's yelling out loud that they've chosen McDonald's. And the reason I even thought of that was what Chris was mentioning, like his own Facebook experience versus, say, the experience of, we'll just say, his more conservative friends. Although a lot of my conservative friends don't subscribe to white power, don't click white power, but that could be something different entirely. But I mean, the Facebook experience to show that it's not all equal. It all depends on a person's discipline and willingness to learn. I mean, there's a lot of people who link to some amazing shit that alters my life every day. But you go to people who only go on Facebook every so once in a while just to post "I love my gun" photos or some shit like that. It's
even something less extreme. Not even just I love my gun, but I love stupid stuff. I love Honey Boo Boo, or I love fucking, I like. See my friends like things like Walmart. Why do you like that on Facebook? What are you saying? You want Walmart to send you stuff? I understand you like shopping at Walmart, but don't get you like Walmart. You're gonna get stupid stuff. You're gonna see that on your Facebook feed.
You know what it is? It's who you're friends with and who you follow, really. Like my wife has a different set of friends that I mean, I have to say that my friends are poets, they're activists, they're musicians, or shit like that, and they're very much involved in social change and social media and shit like that. And
it shows in their Facebooks, doesn't it, Jason?
But the next person, I mean, I know I got some dum-dums on my Facebook, you know what I mean? And I'm sure they have dum-dums on their Facebook, so it's
Shout out to all the Facebook dum-dums.
Facebook dum-dums. I'm just saying, like, if you're not saying anything, and George is saying funny stuff on the feed over here, but he said, all right. Anyway, I'm just saying it depends who you concern yourself with on Facebook or on Twitter. Now, when you're on Twitter, JP Lime and Oddball Magazine's on Twitter, but there's about a bazillion other people on Twitter, and everything moves so fast, and everything. It's hard to even surf that wave of Twitter. Twitter's probably the hardest thing to do.
I love Twitter.
It's not that I don't like Twitter. You're getting me wrong. I'm just saying.
I just said I love Twitter.
Is that George?
Nope. It's Prof.
No, it's Chris.
Prof loves Twitter.
I do.
I love Lamb.
You love Twitter, Chad?
I love Lamb.
Say I love Lamb.
I need to derail the love fest. My whole point is that, we are who we are, and our Facebooks reflect this. Facebook, social media. The one legacy of social media is that it's going to show that it doesn't teach you to enlightenment or being learned or being curious. Our Facebooks, our social media is a reflection of ourselves, and that's what we have to think. It's not, we're not doing. I just saw the text from Ivan. Are we doing politics? Yeah, I think we are. I mean, this is the whole war on information, and the information is the most powerful item that we have. Whoever has the information has the power. Yep. And the main reason why there have been progressive movements, progressive progress, the reason we have gay marriage, it's been the spread of information. That is it. Knowledge is power is the biggest cliche, but it's the biggest truth of ever. Some of the biggest court battles that have been fought over our abilities to disperse information on the internet. This is a bigger deal than you know.
Yeah, I mean, information is the most powerful resource you have, long before social media, long before computer age, everything else like that. Most powerful weapon you have in a war. It's the most powerful. Information is powerful. So,
and I think we have a generation that doesn't know how to use it effectively, and can learn
I think
that.
They'll learn though. I think that part of that comes with age too. Like, when you're 15, you want to see Justin Bieber pics, and well, not me personally, maybe Selena Gomez. Like, as you get older, you'll see issues that sort of to Ivan's point, I think it was, where you'll see something and it doesn't really. I'm sorry, it was JP's. You don't really. You kind of scroll through it, and then every once in a while you'll see something that really catches your eye, and you want to dig a little more. And I think that kind of comes with age. As you get older and you really want to actually learn, or you find out what is interesting to you, and so you want to dive a little deeper on those things.
It's the first generation that's grown up with all this information.
Yeah, that's
when I was 11, I wasn't, I was into dumb shit. You know what I mean? When I was 15, I was into dumb shit. When I was 19, I was into dumb shit. When I was 24, I was. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a while to.
dumb shit.
I'm not trying to criticize. Ivan, I fucking read comics. I don't criticize anyone over dumb shit or anything like that. I'm just saying. Well, we have that ability. We have the ability to say I like. We have the ability to say I like dumb shit and actually know what that means. I just think people don't know. They just see shit, or they just see that everything's shit or everything is good, and they don't have that discerning ability. I mean, the fact that we can just say I like dumb stuff or it's a guilty pleasure, that's kind of a privilege that comes with information that other people may not have.
And I wasn't jabbing at your point so much as piggybacking on George's point that, people are, that generation is young right now, and, hopefully they'll grow out of it. I mean, it remains to be seen. The information might be so crazy and so fast right now that it actually hurts them going forward. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But hopefully that won't be the case. Yeah.
Well, here's what I think, though. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I don't think that it's necessarily generation. I think that the younger generation is probably pretty bad about it, but I don't know. There are a lot of older people spending most of their time looking at cat pictures. So I don't know if that's
absolutely.
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 Yeah, that's true.
There's so much the internet full.
And that's an unwillingness to learn. Like, out of my class, half the people seem to know how to use Facebook effectively. I'm like, actually, I would even say like less than half.
But isn't that effective though? Facebook effectively?
That's how I get people to know about me, know about Stone Soup. I mean, I use it as like marketing, communication, and expression of ideas.
All right. So from a bit, I see what you're saying.
But I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong or different than somebody sitting there browsing their Facebook feed, and other than the sharing and you being a producer and outputter, browsing their Facebook feed than 15 years ago, flipping through 3 or 4 beauty magazines, fucking anything without not reading a political magazine, but like you're flipping through a magazine. It's not that much different than flipping through your Facebook feed and going, oh, I like the picture of a cat. I like that thing over here. Oh, that my friend's going out to party. I'm going to say hello to that person.
It's just the transparency's gone. Yeah. The privacy's gone. It's all transparent now.
Yeah, and you turn.
And we allow it to be that way. Like, we feed into it.
We love it. It's like it's the most it exposes our narcissism in like the most vile kind of way, which is still pretty awesome to me. Like, and it exposes us and says, you know, you can't help yourself, but talk about yourself. You can't help it. Your friends don't care. You know your friends don't care. You know?
And that's why you should vote.
You're not going to stop. You're going to write it on Facebook because, you know, you don't even need, you know, there's a weird gratification thing there.
It's the humble brag. It's the humble brag.
I will say,
but it's even like
I'm still waiting for the day when one of my friends posts, "Oh crap, I shit myself at work today." Everybody posts like the good stuff. Oh, my relationship's wonderful. Nobody ever posts those like horrific life tragedies that everybody has. Like, oh my God, I walked into my parents having sex. You never see those ones.
Would you like that comment? I would probably.
You don't have enough wine.
I would. That shit's hilarious. Yeah, no.
That's funny. I'd like that comment. That's funny. I would vote on.
Some people, some kids. Here's the scary thing, George. Some of the younger crowd does do that.
Yes, I was about to say that. You don't have enough whiny friends. I have a lot of people that are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that this happened to me today." I'm like, that was some disgusting shit that I didn't want to know about you.
Part of the Gamergate controversy, and this is the last time I'll talk about it. You know, just if anyone wants to know about it, just go on YouTube for an hour, and it'll be a very sad journey. But part of the thing is that people part of the controversy is like younger people who've claimed to be harassed, and they've gotten like sympathy, like people claiming they were mugged, or one particular person claiming she was mugged or claiming she was getting harassment, and that leading to like Patreon accounts. Like Patreon is a donation site, leading to donation sympathy and stuff like that. I mean, there's people. I mean, it could be just like old school narcissism made hyper narcissistic, but it could also be like opportunism as well, and it's hard to argue which one it is, especially since I only know about it through like hearsay of other people. I don't have enough hours in the day to figure out if people are being opportunistic narcissists or just being like really whiny narcissists. In some ways I don't care. But younger people do this. You know, it's you know, they are. Some people do say that they shit their pants on Twitter. You know, is my point.
And I will say this to your point about younger people. I hate following anybody that I know under the age of like 18. I don't want to see your Twitter feed. I don't want to see your Facebook feed. You're probably going to put 3 or 4 hashtags on the end that I want to stab you in the face with.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that.
You know, there's almost nothing. I agree with the idea that this younger generation, like, we all kind of do it on social media of producing extra garbage, extra shit, just like fluff. But there's certainly a lot more of it the younger you go. I think that it's impressive the amount of fluff that
I mean, here's a generational thing. My girlfriend's daughter has like an Instagram, and she only reposts other pictures, and there's nothing wrong with that because apparently a lot of kids do that. But for me, who creates a lot of photos, does photography, does writing, to use social media and just repost other people's shit, that's like alien to me. And I'm coming from someone who is, you know, only joined social media a few years ago. I joined it late. And
see, you're an artist, though. You're an artist, and not everybody is. You know, everybody uses social media. I think all artists use social media because it's pretty, you know, but not everybody that uses it is an artist.
And everybody uses it differently too. Like that was my thing about it being I forget exactly which, using it effectively. About, you know, I said, isn't that an objective thing? In the business context, it's not. If there's an end goal, then it's either working for you or it's not. But like generally speaking, people use social media, you know, Facebook I think in particular, for very different reasons. A lot of people do it for, you know, to feed that narcissism, you know, the humble brag, like that, you know, part of themselves or whatever. You know, a lot of people do it to promote. A lot of people are young and just do it without really knowing what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? We spoke to that point, and, you know, and everything in between. So, it's interesting. It's interesting.
That there was like an invite only Facebook, but it wasn't called Facebook. It was like supposed to be the new Facebook.
Oh.
It was like a thing.
Yeah.
I apparently did not get an invite.
I think it failed, but it was like a Facebook was invite only. It's supposed to not have your, I don't know what the hell.
I mean, it's like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a little bit, you know, it's obviously for jobs, but there's a subtle. You can't just add anybody you want, you know.
It's promoting yourself in a professional way, which
Yeah, it's
not
still even purpose, but the brand.
I have to post a correction very quickly. My girlfriend's daughter has been hearing me podcast, and she said she wanted me to put a correction in there. She says no one favorites. I said something about favoring photos, and she goes, "Chad, no one favorites a photo anymore. That's 2008 Facebook stuff."
That's funny.
You got that. You got. Some people get.
Hey, real quick, while Chad does a correction, I would love to throw a correction in there that really
Oh my God, he said not.
grind my gears. I said, when I was making my point about Twitter in conflicts, I said Israeli-Pakistani conflict, which obviously the Israelis and the Pakistanis have nothing against each other as far as I know. They're not embroiled in any kind of conflict. It's the Israelis and the Palestinians that I was trying to say, the Palestinians, starting with a very different, slightly geographically different for this.
So hashtag sorry Pakistani and hashtag sorry Molly. But, okay, in no order of importance. But anyway.
All right, so where should we go next, man? That was a great conversation about social media. I mean, it really it's like the cutting edge of our time. It really is a double-edged sword as far as awesomeness and danger. Like turning everybody into a creator, into a producer is fun. You're able to make an impact on the world, even small or stupid, but that also means you have some kind of responsibility. It used to be that only reporters put out, but now everybody has a Twitter account. We all put out news. We're all producers. We're all content producers. And that's kind of what clogs up, social media. If that's the way you want to look at it, is that everybody's producing. So some of it is just shit. But I think it's awesome. I think it's the coolest revolution that we could not have seen coming from the computer age. That somehow we were going to connect ourselves, some kind of awesome.
I like it. I kind of like being able to listen to whatever song I want to listen to by clicking on Spotify, or learning anything I want to learn ever. It's kind of great.
It's a whole different world, man.
That flow of knowledge.
It's a different world that we grew up in.
What do you do with it? And we didn't have. I mean, we're new to it as well. I mean, we didn't grow up with this shit. I didn't grow up with this shit. I mean, I didn't.
Well, I got my first computer. I had a Commodore. I had a computer when I was a kid.
Commodore.
Yeah, we didn't have consoles. We had computers. We were nerd kids. We also had internet pretty early. We had Prodigy and we had dial-up. I remember that early, but that was in high school. That was I was already a formed person before. When you have people growing up, when you have a 7-year-old with a phone in their hand, that's a whole different existence than I had, and that's formative. That changes the way you think about the world around you, and your connection to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I saw a cool video. I think it was it was basically an image of people with cameras, just from the get-go, from birth, knowing the camera as first thing that they see in the world.
Right. That makes
You know what I mean? The camera's in your face, and it remains in your face your whole life.
Yeah. My sister-in-law is an amateur photographer, and she does it all the time. She takes awesome pictures of her kids, but her kids now, they're all young, they're all small, but they all are prepared for it all the time for her to turn the camera on. It's not a bad thing, not like a judgment, but it's a part of their reality. They're just prepared for it. Whereas,
well, Chris.
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept overall, because I was thinking earlier, when you were talking about social media, you mentioned responsibility. One of the things that bothers me about social media is when I see everybody's kid up on social media all the time and comments about a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old. You know what I mean? It's just when that 4-year-old is 11, 12, 13.
Their whole life is on the internet.
That's what I'm saying. Is that, is there a responsibility angle to consider as a parent posting about your children? You know what I'm saying? Obviously we're in that age. It's gonna happen. Yeah. It's not it's not like I'm saying don't post about your kids or anything like that. It's not that extreme. But I feel sometimes it goes a little overboard, and you end up knowing a little bit too much about other people's kids than is necessarily, I mean, necessary definitely, but sometimes you wonder, it's like, all right, I'm cool, but some twisted sick motherfucker, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and I think the biggest thing about it is parents can't help but talk about their kids all the time. Just what you're thinking about 90% of the time, so you can't really help it. But it does raise an awesome, weird implication. Like, this is the first generation of kids that are going to grow up with their baby pictures online.
Yeah, like we're not there yet.
When a person is 20, your whole life is on.
Exactly.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel that's a weird and interesting question because it hasn't happened before. This is the first generation of parents that are connected to the internet all the time. So these are the first generation of kids that are going to grow up online. That's weird. And these same kids are going to be connected, from birth to the internet with a phone in their hand from as early as they can. My 2-year-old niece knows how to operate an iPhone, and that is not a joke. And it's second nature to her. Like, it's easy. She doesn't yet speak full sentences, but can operate an electronic device by touch. That's insane. Or not even insane, but it's a whole shift, it's a whole paradigm shift. It's a whole that's a different experience. You think about the world differently when that's the case than we would have. So good or bad, I don't know, but it is an awesome shift that we have put on our own society, our own human evolution. That it blows my mind sometimes. But that's an awesome question, I think, and I don't know what does happen and where does the responsibility lie, because you're doing well. You're not like not doing something terrible to your kids. You're not trying to make money off of them. You're not trying to put them up for some bad thing. You're just trying to promote them. But
you're well intentioned, but
yeah, it is, man. And you raised the question about sickos, and they're out there a lot, and they're always, one of the things that my sister-in-law has a blog about her kids, about being a mom. And she changes all the names slightly so that you can't attach their full name to that kid's face, so that somebody doesn't do something really sick. But it doesn't really, doesn't remove a whole lot of layers. She's telling a lot of their lives online, and like I said, it's not a judgment, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I read the blog all the time, but it's a really good question about responsibility. It really is.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, I have this friend who her kid burnt his fingers. And when I say burnt his fingers, I mean 3 of his fingers and his thumb. The skin was black, like peeled away, 3rd degree burnt his fingers. And she posted a picture of him in the emergency room with his fingers all burnt up, sitting there. And that's when I was like, okay, I think you found the line. Like, all right.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Totally gotcha. Kids at their first day of school, totally gotcha. Like, your kid in the emergency room with his fingers all... This is...
To play devil...
Said, hey, this would be a great post.
To play devil's advocate, maybe she was stopping him from trying to take a selfie with his burnt fingers.
All right, Jay. Oh, man. No, but I mean, but you're right. But I've seen pictures of people, in the hospital on Facebook, and I'm like, I don't necessarily, and it's just one of those things. Like, you can always set your settings so that you, see and not see whatever you want to see. But no, I totally agree with you. Like, every once in a while, you just have, those. Was that too much?
Yeah, exactly.
People on my Facebook. I got 700 friends. I see about 15 of them. 20, 30. I got 700 friends on Facebook. I don't see all of them.
And I'm sure people, I'm sure people have had the same thoughts about some of the shit I post. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things where you think about it after the fact.
I mean, if you think about it, we're kind of running businesses. We run Oddball Magazine, and you run JP Lime, and what do you have to do?
Kind of.
What do you mean by kind of? Yeah.
I don't know about you, but we are running a business.
You're kind of hosting this podcast? Is that what you mean?
What I'm saying is that we spend most
Speaking of burnt things.
promoting. Not everyone likes self-promotion. People don't like self-promotion. They find it narcissistic. And
there are some that don't, but I think we as people, by nature, love it. We have to fight the natural urge to talk about it.
As someone who resides at Chad Parento Poet for Hire, I have to say I loathe self-promotion. but I'm instinctively good at it.
Well done.
Vote for hire. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. There's overposting, which is a thing. People overpost.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and that
I just tweeted twice about that.
Oh, Chad's on fire.
That's just. All right.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Did you just
That's
use?
wonderful.
Oh my God, I've been drinking.
Oh man. Hey, were we gonna talk about politics, or is that
No,
still on
we
the table?
were going to talk about politics.
We had a great discussion about social media, and really,
That was probably-
a little political
that was
bent,
probably
but
And I think we've been talking about a political bent.
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
Yeah. True.
It's
I was
more.
going to ask George though, which of the 19 Republican presidential candidates are you going to vote for?
I'm gonna vote. I think I'm gonna go Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Because
I think it's like the obvious choice.
one out there who's at least equally as bald as me. That's usually that's my yardstick.
Oh my God.
Pretty good one, man.
And he's got a hot daughter. I mean,
She is
at some
pretty
point
hot.
that's got to work out for our benefit.
That's
And
my
then
favorite thing about Donald Trump.
the minute she turns 30, he's going to disown her.
No, she's of age, right? I mean, she's like a woman. She's not a kid.
So if his presidential thing doesn't work out, then I guess his NBC career is over too. Along with what he said
No, it
about.
doesn't. No, here's the thing about Donald Trump. He's not. I don't think Donald Trump is actually running for president. He is going out and taking this stage as he's taking the moment to say, "I'm just It's self-promotion of the highest level possible.
I think,
why not, man? Everybody's listening to him. Everybody's talking about him. We are talking about him right now because we can't help ourselves, and I don't think it's wrong. Let's talk about him. But it's self-promotion. I don't think that he even from the beginning. Maybe he did because he's kind of a little stupid. But I don't think from the beginning he had any real aspirations towards the president. He just every time an election comes around, it's the biggest thing.
My girlfriend's daughter who's going to sleep just told me right now. I just said I'm wrapping this up. We're talking about Trump. She goes, everybody knows she's not going to win.
That's right. Everybody
She's
knows
12.
it, including Trump. And she's a smart
but he's
girl.
getting endorsements, but he's getting the conservative appeal. But
He's not. He doesn't have the conservative.
The rest of the here. So we're talking about.
It's the cuckoo appeal.
Yeah, but the thing is, who else is there? Like, really, who else is there?
There's other Republican candidates that are somewhat decent, and Donald Trump makes them look amazing, because Donald Trump is like.
I don't think he makes anybody look amazing. I think he makes himself look completely stupid, and a lot of Republicans are distancing themselves from him. But I think he does. He is the most extreme wing of the whole field.
He'd be the first president to have a presidential library with no books.
No, he'd have Trump the book and most of the.
In seasons 1 through 13 of The Apprentice.
That's it.
A library card with like an 82% interest rate.
We're knocking him out of the park tonight, people. Oh my God.
But yeah, so I think that he's out on the self-promotion kick. I think if he got in office, he wouldn't know what to do with himself.
He looks like
this is not a job that he actually wants. He's never wanted to be a politician. It's not something that he is actually suited for. But it is the biggest stage of self-promotion there is. So why not if you're Donald Trump?
But here's the thing,
18,000 times a day.
But here's the thing: he's reignited this in a way that freaking Nader didn't even do. I mean, up until this, it was just like we were just talking about the predictability. By we, I mean my friends and I were talking about the predictability of the fucking ticket: Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton, another Bush and Clinton. I look as forward to that as I look forward to the day where I get captured by terrorists and have my testicles sewn up into my mouth. I can't. If it's a Jeb, yeah. If it's a Jeb Bush Hillary Clinton ticket, I'm telling you, I felt sometimes when I vote, I hold my nose doing it. When I vote for Hillary, I'm gonna have to wear like a wetsuit.
Vote for Bernie.
vote for Bernie. But at the same time, I don't want to freaking throw my vote away because I saw how well.
You're in Massachusetts. Your vote really doesn't matter. It's just going to go to it's going to go to Hillary no matter what.
I hate that mentality though, because if you argue, that's what happened with Nader. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but
there's no third-party candidate now. There's nobody. I mean, unless Trump runs independent like he keeps threatening. There's no like because that was a big issue, and I thought that was a pretty. I remember that. I remember the idea of the third-party candidate changing the way that our voting process would work, because it really would. It would break that stalemate. Now we have to try to change the Citizens United thing and turn that tide back, because otherwise the whole thing is just shit. The whole thing is just 16 months of a circus with millionaires, and that's totally what we need out of our elected process. No matter what other corruption comes in, having people with the most money always win.
Oh, let's talk about Bernie Sanders. Why is he important, Prof?
Well, let's see. I don't know. George, you want to take some Bernie Sanders talk?
I think the problem with Bernie Sanders is he has amazing ideas. I think he's got the right idea, honestly. But he's like that really smart kid in class who just can't shut up. And it's like, no, don't yell at people how great your ideas are and how much they make sense. Talk, lower your voice. Like I saw him in an interview with Chuck Todd the other day, who is, if anything, I would say sort of a middle of the road. He's not certainly a Bill O'Reilly. He's not a Maddow. He's pretty middle of the line reporter. And Bernie Sanders was pretty much yelling his ideas at him. And it's like, take a deep breath. Calm down. You got the right ideas. Just speak them, and they'll come across. Like, speak on the merit of the ideas and assume people are listening. Don't yell at people, because then they tune you out.
So you're saying he's come across as a more progressive Alex Jones?
Yeah. Kind of like the anti-Trump.
Wow.
He is. He's the one. Yeah, he's totally the anti-Trump. He is what people keep calling him a socialist. People keep using the S word, the socialist word. Like it's a bad thing, and he is not afraid of it. He doesn't shy away from that word, but he's totally the opposite of Trump.
Yeah.
I forget what he wants to raise. I know he wants to raise the minimum wage. That's like a big thing. He really wants to change the way college is afforded, and I can't remember I don't know. He's really into trade unions and. I don't know. He has a lot to say. He reminds me, actually, weirdly, of he's the liberal Ron Paul, like the left version of Ron Paul. Great ideas, but you're I don't know. You still have to be centrist. You still have to be some kind of a progressive, and people don't vote for you.
There's something like 24 Republican, 24 people who are trying to run for the Republican presidency. How many people are trying to run for the Democratic slot? Just
like 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hillary?
It's Hillary, Bernie Sanders.
Go
ahead.
I don't know. I was hoping you. I was hoping George would click in.
One of them's, I think, the governor of Maryland, and then.
Sorry, who?
The other one is.
You said Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson. He's running. Yep.
I'll say this, guys. This is testimony to Obama's legacy. You may not like him, you may love him, but I just remember in 2004 when Bush, people were trying to get him out of office, and I'll never forget. I forget the animator who did this, but there was like a 2-minute cartoon of Bush basically in a Learjet, in his pilot's outfit, reenacting the mission accomplished thing, and then they showed the Democratic Party. It's 8 of the candidates fighting over an already crashed helicopter. Times that by 3. Times that by 3, and that's what you have now with the Republican Party. It's like they have no way. You can't even be like, are you better off than you were 4? Okay, you are. Are you better off than you were 8? Okay, fine. Okay, are you better off than you were 12? Shh. I'm trying to get a thought. They have no platform really.
Sounds like the Oddball show.
Hashtag sizzle.
Hashtag sizzle.
Don't do them all. Don't do them all.
Feel the burn. Look at George's hashtag. Feel the burn.
Feel the burn. Oh,
Feel the
God. I think Bernie should adopt that. Hashtag feel the burn.
Hey, dude, he's got T-shirts.
Feel
That
the
say
burn.
Does? That's an actual thing? You didn't just make that up?
I didn't just make that one up. Nope.
Oh, God, that's awful.
It's like the
There's some
best
pretty awful
presidential.
emotional pieces out there this year. There's a lot. John Stewart was talking about the other night. Who, by the way, we should probably talk about next week. Because next Thursday is his last show. We will be really.
Oh, Jon Stewart. Shit, you guys writing about that?
I'm definitely going to write about it.
Nice.
He's leaving next August 6th is his final show.
Hey, hey, George and Chad.
Yes.
I have a request. Bring the last word back together for a farewell to the Daily Show.
We've got a reunion tour to do. Oh Christ! I'm happy with my day job. When we were done with that, I said, "My God, I can sell shoes again." Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing.
Was that a Spinal Tap or something?
it was something.
Kind of.
Anyway, it was a spin-off an old Bill Hicks joke where he had a routine where like about subliminal messages telling teens to kill themselves. And he's like, let me ask you this: what band wants their audience dead? And he's like, hey, Nigel, let's kill the audience. Can we go back to my day job? I could sell shoes again. You know, I always love that line, But okay, so you want a tribute to the Daily Show, George? I'm up to it if you are. I haven't had basic cable TV in like 10 years, but I'm game. I see enough of him on YouTube.
Oh God, he's one of my favorite people on the planet, and I can't believe he's doing the job. Well, I mean, of course, I can't even be with him. Like
Everyone has
normal person shit, but he's one of my favorite people on television, and he's the smartest. Like, I wish that he would run for office. I would vote for him. He's smart, liberal.
Well, hey, I mean,
a rare variety. There's very few out there who actually have progressive, interesting ideas.
But he's in the same he's in the same boat, and a more intelligent boat, but still the same boat as Sarah Palin, in which if they do ever run and are serious about it, they stand to lose the power that they have. Like Sarah Palin would never give up her pundency, and Jon Stewart, he would give up the power that he has in order to be a political candidate, and who knows if he'd be even effective as that.
Well, two things. It makes me very angry to hear the words Jon Stewart and Sarah Palin in the same sentence.
This is a video.
Crushes my poor little soul. But I mean, I don't think he's given up. He's leaving. He's retiring. So now his energy is going to be shifted. I think it's actually interesting with him over the last year or so that like Fox News has gotten afraid of him. That they've acknowledged him as it's kind of surprised the Daily Show they had an impact on an actual news. A real voice. And it's something they make fun of a lot, but he has some power, but I don't think it would be that big of a jump. I think it was a silly jump for Palin.
The thing about Jon Stewart is that when anything really, he can crack jokes, and he's very funny, but when it comes down to serious shit, he can really take time from what he's doing to not crack jokes and just talk honestly about issues he's talking.
And he can do that at the same time too. Like he does break down, sometimes and just go to straight serious. But even when he's being funny, he's being smart and making a point.
Yeah. But people depend on him to say stuff when serious things happen.
Yeah.
They tell him not to just hear the lighter side of the news, but they want to hear his opinion. Because what he says kind of matters because he's Jon Stewart,
Yeah, he's become a valuable voice.
Yeah.
And with all our talk of social media and the new media, we never even touched on the fact that what people regard as the most informative show in their day, or as far as like news sources, is in fact an entertainment show.
Yep.
Yanya? Oh, what? The other show?
Yeah, people.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And the other thing we didn't talk about with them is their domination of the internet. Like, so they a couple of years back started running, or maybe it was a couple of years back, they started running extended interviews on the internet. You know,
Yeah.
so they're in a half-hour show. They only have a certain amount of time for an interview. Not
Right.
an interview, but then you log online. You know, not only are you driving traffic to your site, you know, good business, good online business, but you're giving this incredibly long content that, you know, they've taken the wheels off. I mean, taking the constrictions off as far as like swear, they do all kinds of toilet humor. Like there's no out of bounds with the Daily Show. And then they can run for, I think the Clinton one went for an hour. You know, Bill Clinton was on not long ago, and they put in the it was an hour long. You know, and because they have infinite space in the internet. I think that and they do a lot of great stuff on you know, on social media, Facebook, and Twitter. They're fairly dominant, but I think it's something that that's a gap they've bridged really well, better than their competitors at other media.
You know what's good about that, Prof, though, is the people who come from the Daily Show usually become pretty solid political comedians and pretty solid you know, entertainers. But you know who really surprised me was John Oliver.
Oh, I love him.
His show is doing really well.
His what's that show called? It's on HBO.
Tonight.
Yeah.
He's saying a lot of things. Now, is he going to be the replacement for Jon Stewart?
No.
Who's the replacement?
There's a South African dude who's been on just a very little bit. He hasn't been on the show a ton.
Who?
I forget his name. I'll look it up. It was not a very happy choice.
What are you talking about? Really?
Yep. Hang on. We can get back to that, and I'll find an answer and tell you in a second. But it wasn't a very happy choice because people were looking for them to go out and grab a name. Somebody they know.
What?
I thought, like, what's his name? Tina Fey would have been awesome. His name is Trevor Noah. And he's from South Africa. He's funny. He's a nice dude.
Is going to become the new Jon Stewart? Because I've seen a lot of his shows. I've seen a lot of his clips. I think, you know, barring, who knows, maybe Trevor Noah will step in there and really step up. But I think John Oliver has quickly become that same voice. You know, he's gained a lot of momentum. He's got a lot of really funny, great ways of presenting ideas. And I think he tends to go in more depth than The Daily Show did. So it's funny, but it's also a little more informative.
I agree with that.
And if we had to be honest, Jon Stewart had to step up too.
Yeah.
Like he was not fire out from the get go. You know, like people mostly liked him in the beginning because he wasn't an asshole like Craig Kilborn.
Yeah, he's like an anti-hero. He was like a shitty actor who like fell into this. He was a host on some MTV show before that. You know, he was like a fledgling. Yeah, Remote Control. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
But you know, he kind of fell into this, and I remember the show when it was Craig Kilborn before it was actually like a news show. Or like a real news show, and so it's grown, you know. Like he's and that's part of why you love him too. Like he is not a glossy actor plugged in the middle of a role. He grew with this role, and there's nobody else like something else like it on top.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to say it. Nothing like Jon Stewart. No one like Jon.
Like Stewart.
Game changer.
So we're running down some time pretty good here. One thing I don't want us to forget is to jump back to the Scholar and have him give a little performance. A little performance is always nice in the middle of the podcast. I think none of us can get Tom Brady or Blake Gator, Roger Goodell off our brain anyway. I think it's just
So I have a jump on that. So tell us a little bit about your poem you're about to read.
You guys still want me to read, huh?
Oh, you don't have to.
Yes.
No,
Let's see here.
I didn't want to leave it out.
Let's see here. I'll do my best. Excuse me. No, I mean, the poem is about Goodell. He needs to go. Roger Goodell, NFL commissioner. He needs to go. Forget free Brady. Fire Goodell. To call it all ridiculous and no way fully captures how asinine and outright dumb the pages of the chapters that make up your reign, Commissioner, the lowercase intended, as are the uppers in disaster, because the league, that's how you left it. From the Ray Rice elevator footage that you knew you viewed, to how you handled Adrian Peterson's suspension like a fool, to the Greg Hardy reduction while upholding Brady's penalties. You suck, Mr. Goodell. You've all but lost your credibility. That Brady's fully innocent is anybody's guess, but a guess on guilt is all you have, lest proof doth manifest. You liken half a PSI to steroid use, just further proof that you're a clown who should be clowned and from your throne must be brought down. Your punishment as irrational as your role in the appeal. You will lose out in real court because a real judge knows the deal. You're a mockery of leadership, a fantastic show of sycophant. You pander to the masses, kiss their asses, yield to silly rants. The NFL deserves much better than all your tomfoolery. Though many on Team Brady think to self, Tom, you're not fooling me. The fact remains without a shred of concrete evidence. Your decision's all but baseless. You're a circumstantial wench. Half a PSI does not affect a throw, a game, a legacy. Your idiocy, however, does reflect your insecurity. As such, Commissioner of Lower KC fame, we do demand that once the feds revoke your ruling, you at once resign, my man. If not, well, then fire Goodell. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Church, tabernacle.
Goodell. More like go to hell out of the NFL. Nailed it. Totally nailed it.
Thank you. Yeah,
Free Tom Brady, who's in his prison of a mansion. He's farted into his champagne hot tub. He can't go out to get more champagne. Free the man.
Free the man. Free the $1 million man.
As you may be able to tell, Chad is not very sympathetic.
I'm just recalling my curmudgeon attitude during the Deflategate show. What episode was that again? Was that
That's 5. I'm gonna say
episode 5? Check it out now. Other Oddball shows. Only on JP Line, YouTube. Thank you.
Yeah.
Soon to be on iTunes. Really.
We will post the archive link with the posts in the pertinent link section.
Very good.
Check out all the past Oddball shows. They're fun. They're funny. They're informative, educational, often train wreckish, but in a great way. The Oddball Show. We bring to you today.
All right, so we're about to wrap up, but first, Chad, what's going on in Oddball Magazine this week?
Oh my God, what isn't going on in Oddball Magazine, aside from me not having the page up so I can tell you? Oh, well.
I can tell you what's going on at JP Line Productions.
Excuse me? You can get poetry by Luke Stromberg. You can get poetry from new contributor. And yes, I'm going to do this voice because I didn't really have any other purpose except to just ramble tonight. From Shloka Shankar, the 2 new poets from this past Wednesday. We have The Jagged Thought from Tuesday by Oddball Magazine's own Jason Wright. He sounds familiar. We have The Odds by Bill Harvey. And we have today's plethora cavalcade of columnists of 7 Times by Andrew Bourne, with the longest title in the poem I think I've ever seen ever since Eddie Vedder started singing about elderly women. We also have James Van Loy with his column It's All One Thing. It's a plethora of labyrinth poems as he counts his way down to It's All One Thing, the 100th episode. And attend the show for Vault on August 2nd. Check it out in Lisa Zaya's column, The Underground Garden, where she unearths the Boston art scene one layer at a time. Excuse me, I'm talking. Anyway, oh wait, that's it, I'm done.
That was beautiful. That's the best line ever. I want to end something like that. Excuse me, I'm talking. Oh, no, wait, I'm done.
Was there any more to that? Is that
well, I could give a fuck. No, wait, I can't.
Oh, sure. I have to keep it PG-13.
No, you don't. I don't know.
Oh, what's up with that?
Have you heard my girlfriend's daughter? No, anyway, she also corrected me to say that when I went earlier, it doesn't mean a burn, it means a rash. She's like, no, Chad, when you burn someone, you have to say something like, do you need some chamomile lotion for the burn? She's totally schooling me on ethics and
Chamomile lotion?
aloe vera. Sorry, she said aloe vera.
Oh, hey.
Good God.
Up on some hip shit.
I'm tired. It's midnight. Go to hell. Anyway.
You didn't tell your girlfriend's daughter to go to hell, did you? That ain't cool, man.
I didn't, right? No, I didn't. Anyway.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
Was that your pitiful attempt to impersonate me, Jason? You're like, like, oh my god.
Yeah, that was my pitiful attempt to impersonate you. Thank you for acknowledging it, because that's what it was.
Anytime.
Productions.com this week.
Need him segue. Film at 12.
We have our normal variety of content going on. We are a weekly blog and hip hop production company based in Boston. So our blog has a country hip hop center, but we do a lot of different stuff. For instance, as you heard earlier, brilliantly, our friend Scholar has his sports poetry that he does periodically. We talked a little bit about my Heroes article that, I like to talk about television sometimes, talk music, talk culture. Our good friend Spaceman has a collection of sketches that he did this week. So those are up there, a little visual art for you. Scholar, talk to the people.
Yeah, man. I couldn't have said it any better myself. We do a lot of shit on jplineproductions.com. It's fun. Don't miss the Rap Flashback along with the Oddball Show archives link. We will also provide our Rap Flashback archives link so that you can catch all the past webisodes of the Rap Flashback, our monthly ode to old school hip hop. At JP Line Productions, we are your old school hip hop fix. Every month we film a newscast type show where we talk about important dates in hip-hop history, and a lot of it is 80s and 90s, creep into the 2000s when we need to, and even some current stuff to mix it up. But it's informative, it's fun, it's funny. Check it out.
Keep an eye out for the August one. The August one coming up, and big deal in August is NWA.
Yes.
The movie is coming out. 8/8/88 is the day that the Compton's album came out. So guaranteed to be a lot of NWA content in the August Rap Flashback. So that'll be coming up soon too.
Rap Flashbacks for those who want to rock right now.
Chad Parental came to get down. There you go. Parental guidance advised. I love it. I'd like to actually extend the NWA content into the Oddball Show. I wanna cast about that soon.
I thought you were going to say you're extending an invitation to them or something.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, Dre, if you're available, I know you're a busy guy.
You might have an easier
podcast.
Oh,
you might have an easier chance of getting EVE.
There's plenty to be said, man. They, they are a influential group, and there's nobody that doesn't know who NWA is, or almost nobody, whether you're a fan or not, whether you know a lot about them or not. They're a cultural icon, and a lot to be said. This movie coming out, I just can't wait. Every time I see my fiance laughs at me every time. I see the preview, I jump up in my living room, and it looks awesome. It really does.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the soundtrack. It's a big deal, man. It's a big deal. It's NWA, in my opinion, is the most influential entity in hip hop history, and I'll tell you all about it. And I have told you all about it in my articles. You know what I mean? You can go to jplineproductions.com and just tag our NWA shit. You'll see what I'm talking about.
I feel like
but we should
ABBA.
What's up?
I feel like you're really forgetting ABBA.
No. In hip hop history, man. In hip hop history. No, I mean, in short, my argument is if you take the fruits of Dre's labor and Eazy-E's labor, and all the groups that they spawned, aside from NWA being, super influential in and of themselves, I mean, we're talking Snoop Dogg, Eminem, we're talking Bone Thugs and Harmony. You know what I mean? To just for starters, overall, they were some game-changing motherfuckers. But yeah, I'd like to get back to that in a cast very soon. So check out for it at the Oddball Show at jplineproductions.com. Any closing thoughts, remarks, shit we haven't covered that we want to? George, thanks for being on the show. You've been great.
Yeah,
I really appreciate your knowledge and your comedy. Smart guy, funny guy. Those are our favorites.
Yes, sir. Thank you very kindly.
Yeah, we'll go around the panel. Chad Parental, thoughts, closing arguments.
George, let's do a last-ish word. Let's do a last-ish word column. Let's get the band back together again.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah.
All
Jason
right,
Wright.
we got a few days.
Hey, thanks for listening to us at the Oddball Show. Check us out at Oddball Magazine. Check out the JP Line Bros at jplineproductions.com. Check out George on Facebook, George Panagopoulos.
Mr. Professor.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, the thing we haven't mentioned in our closing and the place we started is social media. So come find us on Twitter. We tweet a lot. We tweet a lot of cool stuff. So find me at Dr. Prof Esquire. Find Scholar at Scholar _ JPL. Find Jason at Man the Storm. Find Chad at Chad Parento. Find us at Oddball Magazine at JP Lime. And George, are you a tweeter?
I am actually on blackpeoplemeet.com.
Well, at least give us your contact info there.
No, I am.
Find a date.
I'm at Pananarama, Panarama on Twitter.
That's awesome.
And we will post that with the post as well. Put that on the pertinent link section.
Also,
Please send us the link because I'm totally gonna misspell that shit.
and make sure check out George's Last Ditch Warrior with Chad Parento. They are getting back together. They're getting the gang back together, but also they have been putting a lot of stuff out for the last 2 years on Oddball Magazine. Check out the link.
I think I've heard of that. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Chad. All right, y'all.
George, any closing thoughts before you get out of here?
Yeah, how about you gotta take your vitamins and eat your watermelon.
Another cast I'd like to get back to.
We should have you come back for that. We should have George. You should definitely be in there for that because I am putting together a panel, the group on that. It's going to be Oddball episode, whichever one. Hulk Hogan is a real ...
A real American? Not so much. Maybe he is. I don't know.
He's a real blonde. Is that what you're that's what you're He's a real blonde.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
God's sake, cue the music for the love of God.
The Oddball Show is presented in part by JP Line Productions and the Oddball Magazine. Come check us out. Come find us. We're friendly people.
And boom!
Hey, yo, what's good? It's your boy Frost.
Oh, what the hell is that? There we go.
That was dope, actually. I like that.
Was that you? Peace out, y'all.
Straight out of Compton, y'all.
Straight out of Boston.
Straight out of Boston.